While Black people only make up 14.4% of the US population, 38% of abortions are performed on Black women. They make up the vast majority of abortions. And if you look at Planned Parenthood clinics, I think it's something like 89% of them are in a minority majority neighborhood. They were originally set up, famously, even by their own website, to sterilize Black women as part of a eugenics program, and they still function in that capacity. There is almost no organization that I think you should be more in support of than Planned Parenthood if you are an actual racist or a eugenicist.
To be fair, she also, talks about the fact that they also want prenatal care, postnatal care, fibroid screenings, well, also STI tests. So that just has to do with,
Continue.
Having sex. But basically, she's just like, why aren't we giving free healthcare to people of color? And I don't see how that has to do with anything. And
that's not why.
She opens with that, but then she proceeds to just make it an argument about reproductive choice, and then how Roe versus Wade makes this a bigger issue than ever. So what's clear from her ultimate emphasis, even though she starts with this sort of vague allusion to wanting universal health care, at least for Black women, is that this is really an issue about abortions. And that's where it gets my goat a little bit. Like, wait a second, that's what's missing from prenatalism in your view? It was
weird and meandering, but I will say that if you go through, and we'll get to this when we get to the piece, because I want to read some excerpts from it, because it's actually a very interesting piece, and I quite liked it. Like, it's one of these pieces where it's critical of us, but I like that it comes out because of some of the things that are in it, which we'll get to in a second. Not just from a humor standpoint, but we've broken through one of the progressive walls. We're getting closer to getting through all of the progressive walls, right? They have seen something that historically they didn't see before, right? And all of the things that she said we needed to give Black women were like only relevant if they were like sexually promiscuous. And it made me realize that this is a person who believes that sex is a human right.
I mean, to be fair, either sexually promiscuous or having babies, but then why not this for all women?
Well, or like regularly being raped or something in their community. It's like this. There's these people out there. We went over this in our prepped episode, which we'll review a bit in this one. Good episode. You should check it out if you want. This is one
that blew my mind. Yeah, about
the government has us funding gay orgies. But anyway, it's like these people think like the founding fathers are like writing down our rights, and they write down, okay, life, liberty, and the pursuit of sex with anyone you want without consequences. That is the three things that we need to preserve in this shrine of rights. Is the right to promiscuity, the right to sex with anyone, the right to treat sex like a handshake, as one person said. But let's get into the first bit. Is the bit on you, which I thought was really interesting in this article here.
Okay.
So she goes, former venture capitalist Simone Collins did attend NatalCon, where she told an NPR reporter that she was prepared to die in childbirth. She also said that she would rather not do that, but explained that historically women died in childbirth at roughly similar rates to the rates which men died protecting their land and country. I have no idea if that's true, and I doubt the Collinses does either. It's the sort of nonsense a person would say to provoke a reporter, and the Collins are good at that. And Collins is good at that. She and her husband Malcolm have appeared in so many news stories I have lost count of the headlines, and each article is more unsettling than the last. So before we go further, some things I like here is one is, unlike the Slate article, which I really didn't appreciate, where they're like, why is everybody writing stuff about this couple? They only created a free school system, created a religion, have a fairly popular podcast, run a movement. They're like, I wonder if like, as they were writing it, they were like, oh, this is why so many people are talking about them, run multiple companies. Okay. Successful ones, by the way. But this individual, she's sort of gone past that, where she's like, I get why everyone is talking about them, right? Like, it makes sense. And she also had the presence of mind to get that we are intentionally baiting reporters, not with false information. I mean, that's a true fact, right, Simone? The women die in war is much like, does she not think that that's measurable? How many women died in childbirth and men died in war historically?
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember my original source.
It sucks to be wrong about how romantic your
Double
But, like,
check it in case I'm pulling this out of nowhere. I looked through so many studies.
she literally could have like just asked Grok, like, is this true? Like, you know, like we have AI now. Like, I love how there's this like, were they telling the truth? I don't know, and I have no curiosity to check. And it doesn't even seem like a particularly like anti-feminist thing to say. You know, you're like just pointing out that women made sacrifices historically, which I thought was really interesting. I also love the now, because Simone does like the full dress up and outfit, progressive reporters immediately when they run into us are like, oh, I get it. Okay, so this is some sort of a troll. They're like, I can't fall for the trap and panic about this, but like I'm a little bit panicked about this. So how do I handle that? So what are you gonna say? You got something there?
Yes. Hold on, it's still loading though. And the problem is that it depends on whether the society was at war. Like if there was a major war, obviously men conscripted to fight were dying at higher rates. And I wish it was giving me the general number because that's what I'd originally found, but I can't immediately off.
Okay, whatever. We don't care. Anyway, they, like Musk, are concerned about falling birth rates. So they have decided to have as many babies as they can. They use IVF to select the most superior embryos for implantation. Hold on. I'll also note here where they homeschool their kids, they hit their kids, they used to be atheists, but now they've decided, underline, they're techno-Puritans, a metaphysical system of their own creation. So I love here this like, everything is mortifying to her, right? A CNN video filmed at NatalCon shows Simone in a dress and bonnet like an 18th century Quaker, but without the egalitarian beliefs. Collins is a troll, certainly, though it's different. Later in the article, they were like, and whether they're Catholics or techno-Puritans or anti-gender egalitarian. And it's like, what about our beliefs are not gender egalitarian? Like we believe males and females are like genetically different, which, okay, I mean, that's like a theological belief if you don't believe that. Like, that's
yeah, I mean, you're not gestating children, so I guess that disqualifies us.
Yeah, but and even here they note that only women can get pregnant. So like clearly she believes this as well. But like other than that, I don't think you could be particularly more gender egalitarian than our marriage.
Yeah, I don't see it. I mean, also just given the sheer amount of childcare that you do.
Yeah, but I love that she doesn't mention in what way we're gender egalitarian, right?
Yeah, she just out of nowhere.
It seems to be, well, she does insinuate that we're gender egalitarian because I expect you to undergo the costs and risks associated with reproduction. And I'm like, I don't really
but you know, I'm sure she hates Elon Musk for suggesting the use of surrogates.
Yeah.
So that you can have more kids. So you can't win.
Collins is a troll, certainly, though it's difficult to tell where the performance stops and the sincerity begins. She is pregnant with her 5th child and intends to have more, which is, at a minimum, an extreme commitment to the bit. When she says she's willing to die in pursuit of her brood, I tend to believe her, but if martyrdom is what she wants, she's probably going to be disappointed. American women do perish in childbirth or directly as a result of it, yet most have little in common with the Collinses, who is a well-off and white, like many pronatalists.
I'm too rich to die, Malcolm. They just won't let it happen.
So what I like about this is all the time when they like freak out about you talking potentially dying in childbirth, like they seem to be missing that you are having multiple C-sections, which is incredibly dangerous. Like that. Like there was the other reporter in The Guardian who insinuated that when you said, well, they might take my uterus one way, that they was like in scare quotes.
Men in Black or something.
Men in Black or progressives. When you were talking about surgeons, because this happens if you have too many C-sections, it can cause serious risk. So that was really fascinating to me. But I also love the recognition that your life is a troll, but the lack of recognition that like, it's also real. Like, can you talk about that? Because there isn't a place where the sincerity ends. It's all sincere and all a troll. Just like that cover of Man's World where it was anime girls and Trump having missiles come out of his mouth and in like an anime style, or that anime little video of like Trump and the
Studio Ghibli inspired Trump video. Like it's gone around Twitter. The issue is that it seems many progressives don't understand that there's this new trend of very earnest irony or ironic earnestness where like we are self-aware of how ridiculously we come across, and we own it and we have fun with it, but we still 100% mean what we're doing and believe in what we're saying and like the way we're dressing or looking. And there's this thought that if we recognize how ridiculous we look to some people, we couldn't possibly actually take that seriously, that a joke can't also be true. When actually the root of humor, things are funny because they're surprising, but they make sense. There's truth to all humor, and that they don't get that is really odd. But there is this repeated pattern we've noticed in media about not just things that we say, but things that other pronatalists have said, especially if they're trolling progressives, that we couldn't possibly be both joking and earnest at the same time, when that is absolutely 100% what is going on.
Yeah, well, but I think that is sort of, we did an episode recently on the aesthetics of the new right. It was Rawig Nationalist. And I think that is sort of the core of the aesthetics of the new right, where you sort of live your life performatively as a troll, like, because to be a troll is to thumb your nose at the dominant cultural group, like we are just living the way that we want out and proud, and they're gnashing their teeth at us in anger because they can tell that we are happy with who we are. We are happy with this whole thing we're doing. You are happy having lots of kids. We are happy to raise them. Like anyone, I think she thinks like the techno-Puritan thing is a troll. And like anyone who's actually engaged with like the tract series, or especially like the more recent ones where we get way into like biblical analysis. I'm so excited for the one I have coming up. It's so big, it's so long, but it's just like 4 hours of biblical analysis. And people will see that and they'll be like, no, like they really believe this stuff. Like they're really, really serious about this. Yeah. And I guess it's like, it allows you to engage in all of this with even more earnesty because that, we're not afraid of that judgment.
Mm-hmm. Anyway. No, we're going to do it regardless of what other people say.